going on?
Josh Baker's up to a good start this year, but statistically speaking, he completed 71.4% of his passes last year, a career year, franchise record, and it's dipped this year to 59%. Is that due to more shots down the field, or what would you attribute that to? I know it's early.
I think that's part of it. We place an emphasis on trying to push the ball down the field really from the spring, and he's done that. We just need to connect on them. There's some that we've just not connected on, whether it was an errant throw or drop passes, but it's something we want to continue to do. Puts pressure on the defense and makes them defend 53 1/3 yards versus some of the dink and dunk, and at times that's needed as well. But being able to push the ball on the field and connect on those would be huge for us.
In terms of completion percentage, by the end of the year, where do you want that to be for Baker? Like, what's a good number in your mind?
I've never really looked at it like that necessarily in terms of an actual percentage for a goal going into the season. But at the end of the day, we just want to have these guys open and be able to complete the passes. And I know last year you're saying it was around 70. I wasn't even sure what it was, but there's never really been an exact number that we're trying to hit right there.
Josh, what's your reaction to Emeka Egbuka winning Rookie of the Month and just the start he's had to his career?
That was pretty cool. Coach just actually told him out there, so everybody was able to hear that together, which we saw it even from day one of rookie minicamp and what he can do, and just being able to see the things from the Ohio State tape show up early and often in the spring, and then now that it's happening in the games, and it happens every game, and it's fantastic to see another huge play that really brought some juice to the sideline when we were down, and people rallied behind that, and just the conversations he was just having out there with Mike on how to run routes. These guys just soak in all the knowledge from Chris and Mike, and he's in a great spot right now.
Josh, the red zone offense has been a bit lacking the past 2 weeks, and you guys are 29th in the NFL in that metric. Is there anything you're seeing there that you guys can really improve on when you get into that red zone? And is part of that kind of the personnel with the injuries that you guys have been facing, or is there something specific that you're identifying that you guys need to get better at there?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's personnel whatsoever on it. Last week, we get down there and went backwards on first down, which was not good. We got to have an efficient play in the first half, and then the one to Bucky we had out there on that bubble essentially was a shoestring tackle. We had a hat for a hat, so that one was close. But it comes down to execution. At the end of the day, whether it's in the run game or whether it's in the pass game, being able to get 7 and not 3. And we talked about that a little bit in here on the 4-point plays and how that can shift the game. But it's about the execution, and then Bake hit on it. It is what it is with the interception right there. But another opportunity down there in the low red. But something we definitely focus on each week, and we got to turn 7. We got to get 7 points and not 3 points, or in that instance, 0 points.
Josh, the lack of targets for tight ends, is that because, like you said a little bit ago, you're pushing the ball downfield, or are you holding guys back to block?
It's more about saying the lack of targets is the latter part of your question, is that Cade and those guys being selfless and being able to be in that alignment to try to help out on some of the protections where he's not necessarily getting out into a route, or if it is a route, it's not something that's vertical down the field. So that's really where that's coming from. We do intend to try to keep getting him the ball when we can on those kind of things. But what he's been able to do, what those guys have done by taking the team first and being able to say, hey, this is what's needed, at least at this current time, to get some of this stuff off. And he never complains about it. Goes out to practice, had a hell of a practice today, and hope to give him the ball moving forward.
What'd you make of Chris Godwin Jr.'s return to the lineup?
Just great to see him in pregame warmups. Just welcome him back. I mean, it was a long journey. What was that, 11 months, something along those lines? And he was back there in practice and talking to guys, and finally giving the meetings. But then just seeing him out there, because whenever the ball is getting thrown to him, you're assuming good things are going to happen. So it was great to have him, and look forward to seeing him progress each week and get back to full strength.
Seattle already has 7 interceptions on the year. How much does that concern you with the playmakers they have? And Tariq Woolen doesn't even have one yet.
Yeah, it's definitely something when we put on the tape each week on how do we handle some of their game records from a defensive standpoint, but then you look at other things that they do really well, and that is turn the ball over, and how we have to be great with our decision making. We have to be great with our route conversions if they are into certain coverages. That way we're in the right spot for the quarterback, because they have some ball hawks back there. They do a really good job with it, and the D-line does a really good job of getting a pass rush as well. So we got to be on top of that for sure.
Josh, I want to ask you about third down. Obviously, you guys were so good last year, and you were a big part of that. I think the easy answer is that you have injuries at offensive line and injuries at receiver, but you're averaging half as many yards on third down plays as you were last year. Is there something you point to for that?
I would say it's one thing. It's really collective from each position group. on being able to convert those. And it's still early, still working through some things on that end of it, but it's something we focus on each week. Today's our third down day in terms of focus on that and the protections and getting the routes out there, but it is definitely something that needs to improve because it allows you to sustain drives by getting that done. I know it's very common sense, but starting the game like that last week on the 2 third downs, we got to be able to convert those, stay on the field, and try to get the ball down the field to get some points.
How much different with the offense is the offense going to be if you don't have Bucky, you got Rashad and Sean Tucker?
It's something a lot like we do with the offensive line or the wideouts, where we got all the confidence in the world in those guys on being able to play and step up and have a bigger role if he's not able to go. And you try to tailor it to them like you would the offensive line on what can they do differently on a pass concept or a run concept to try to put those guys in position. But really fired up for Shad. Shad's in a really good spot. He's been doing a hell of a job this year, really in the run and the pass game. So if he gets to that, full of confidence in him to go out there and make some plays.
Who's kind of been running the running backs room with what happened to Coach Pete the other night?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Who's been running the running back?
Yeah, so Blaine Stewart, one of our QCs, he's able to handle those guys in the meeting room in terms of running it and the corrections from practice. And then once we get on the field, it's been really by committee because then he goes to the scout team side of it. So Fence, the pass game coordinator, he's able to help. Thad's able to help on just the communication on what do we need to adjust here, who's in the game. So wish Skip nothing but the best, but talked to him last night, talked to him this morning, and just been able to adjust that to Blaine and go from there.
With Mike out, Emeka, Drew Mitchell, you're just going to draw the top. You expect him just to get the top guy, and then how does he now become that guy that has to learn, and you have to move him to beat double teams now, you think?
Yeah, you saw a little bit of it last week with Vic. He was putting the cloud over top of Mech a little bit that you would generally see from that scheme going to Mike. So it's something we will and he will have to adjust to if it gets to that based on the defensive structure of that week. But we'd like to believe whether it's Mech or Mike or any of these guys, we move them around a lot where they're not just singled up to the boundary or in the slot to the field or number one to the field, where it's a little bit hard to get a beat on exactly where they're at, but it definitely could happen moving forward.
What have you seen from Josh Williams behind the scenes and the work that he's putting in?
Even from the time that he got here, you could tell that as a rookie, it's hard to be a pro's pro as a rookie, but just the way that he studied and the way he communicated, one of the things he just told Bake in one of the protections during practice was not something you would hear from a rookie. I don't want to get into the schematics of it, but even in the walkthrough that we had yesterday and the reps that he was in there, knows what to do, knows where to go, and when the ball's in his hands, he's a really good player, so we're excited for him.
Josh, when it comes to Sean Tucker, he only has 1 carry this year. How much thought have you put into maybe getting him more involved on offense?
Yeah, I think it's each week on what are those plays where we want to get him in there, try to get him the ball. And then once you get in the game, sometimes those are adjusted based on how it's going, if one guy's getting more or less. And then last week, of course, got a little sideways early in terms of the score, so it made it a little bit harder to try to get the ball to different guys. But he's doing a good job in practice, and his time will come.
I know you're always trying to score touchdowns. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? You want to finish drives with that. But the way the ball is being kicked this year in the NFL, even by your guy who nails one from 65, and with the kickoff return being what it is it different knowing that you don't have to go much past midfield? You might be looking at points there if you don't screw it up, right?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's something I've thought about, but we do want 7. So once we get to that point, and Vic should know, Vic golfs a lot, so he knows the ball goes further when it's hot outside, so he should know that as well.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
All good. See you guys.